Today's session is going to be on how to use student-centered stations in the classroom. I am a former teacher and I utilized USATestprep in my classroom in multiple ways, and one of my favorite ways was in a station setting. So we're going to talk about some of my favorite stations that I used, and you can come up with ways that you can adapt this for your classroom. Okay, so what kind of stations are we going to talk about today? I created a 5-station lineup for you today. Your first one is going to be on free response. The second one is a sorting station, which is a performance task station, familiar with our resources. The third one is a matching station with a teacher mini lesson, and I'm going to explain what this looked like in my classroom. A video station and a practice quiz station. On the next few slides, I'm going to be showing you screenshots of what this looks like on my page as a teacher. And then at the end, we will do a demo together that I will show you how you can implement this in your classroom. I also want to make you aware that there is a questions tab for you guys. So as we're going along, if you think of a question, please feel free to send it to me, and I will answer questions at the end of the session. And I will also stick around after the session is over and answer any of these questions for you. You will also receive a copy of this slideshow and a copy of this recording of the session for you if you would like to utilize it later. So let's just go through and look and see what each of these stations looks like. So the first one is a free response station. So for this one, for the stations I created today, they're all for a 9th grade lit class. For the standard reading literary figures of speech, meaning of words and phrases. So all of them are generally related to that standard. So for this one, you can see that there is a passage above here. So students would be expected to read the passage, and then they would see this question prompt, and then they would type their answer into this question and submit it. So that's an example of a free response station. We have a sorting station, which is a performance task, and our site comes with different types of performance tasks. There can be matching, sorting, hot text, highlighting, different things like that. But for this one, it's a sorting station. So there's a passage above here. They would read this passage, and then they would click and drag these items into the 2 boxes that would correlate with either the character Stephanie or with Anthony. So this would be an example of a sorting station that could be done in the classroom. The next one I called matching station with teacher mini lesson. So when I did stations in my classroom, I always had a station where I was located in Central 2. And when they would come to me, we would do a mini lesson, and this is generally for a review. So I would do a review on what they've been learning, and then this would be a quick informal assessment for me to see who is truly mastering that standard. So they would come over here, and after I did my mini lesson, they would click and drag and drop their answers into here and submit it, and that would give me that data. My next station is a video station. The videos on our site are generally 1 to 4 minutes long, depending on the content. So for this particular center station, I assigned 3 videos, and this is just a screen grab of one of the videos. So students would be expected to listen and watch the video and then answer the questions and send them in to me, and that would be their assignment for that station. And then the last station is a practice quiz station, and students would go to this and answer 10 questions about that standard, and that information would be sent to me as well. So those are 5 general stations that can be done in the classroom with very little ease. And as you can see, it's all related to the same standard and pretty easygoing and easy for the students to know. So what does this look like for my students? So this is a screen grab of one of my students, as you can see, in Mrs. Zorn's 9th grade lit class. So this is what their screen would look like. You can see it has station E, A, B, D, D, C, and D. And as you can see, station D has video 1, video 2, and video 3. So I just went ahead and titled them the same as what I did for you guys for the stations. So what does this look like in my classroom? So I just said there are lots of different ways it can be used in the classroom setting. It could be your typical station setting. So you could have laptops or computers set up into groups, and students would just go to the different group, log in, and complete the work. Or you could do a digital and paper setting. So a lot of times for that station where students are with me, I would have laminated copies of the work that I've printed from the site, and students would do that work for me. If technology is an issue at your school and there isn't a lot of it available to students, that's always an option. Is you can use a lot of our printable resources and put them into folders, and students can answer on their own paper and submit it to you. So just because I'm showing you a electronic version doesn't mean that it couldn't be paper and pencil as well. I said this can be done in a computer lab. I did at your desk stations. We all have the group that has a difficult time staying on task, or maybe they're not good at, rotating. You definitely don't want to be spending half your time dealing with behavior or making sure students are on task. So you can do at your desk stations. And so you could just say, hey guys, here's your group, but you're staying in your seats today. This group, you're going in the order A, B, C, D, E. The next group, you're going B, C, D, E, A. And you can tell them, and they can stay in their seats and work through all of these stations, or they can just go in order A, B, C, D, E for everyone. And then I also put on here peer tutor stations. So if you have those students in the class who are your anchor students, if you have the ability to pre-teach the content to them and the stations to them, this is a resource that you could use for peer tutoring. You could have a peer tutor at each of these stations to be kind of monitoring and answering questions for other students. And I also did a things to consider. First time implementation. Just like with any first time experience in the class, the first time is not going to go as smoothly as time number 12. So I did 5 stations today, and you might have to start out with 2 or 3 stations. I considered making my stations on about an hour-long classroom, or an hour-long class period, I'm sorry. So you may think, okay, well, that's about 10 minutes per station, after you do, beginning and end of class routines. So you might just have to consider what kind of time you have for your class. And again, that's for time for each rotation. And then groups, how do you want your students grouped? And how do you want them? And that's, again, just something that every teacher is going to reflect on. And then finally, grading assessment. Are you going to use these as grades, or are they going to be informal assessments for you? So those are all just some different things to consider as you go through and implement these stations. So it's time for a demo. Okay, so this is my homepage for my class, and I just want to show you what these assignments look like for my students. So I can go and log in as Matt Ryan, and I can go to Mrs. Zorn's class, and there is his work. So there are the stations for the student view and how he would do this. So what we're going to do now is we are going to create these stations for my algebra class. And I'm going to base them all on the standard about real number system for radical expressions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this pink box, which is my resource box. I'm going to choose Algebra 1. And the first station I talked to you guys about was free response. So I'm going to free response questions. I'm going to choose real number system and radical expressions. So here are the 3 free response questions I have to choose from. I think that this one looks pretty good. So I'm going to click assign to this class, continue, and I'm going to call this station A. And I have to assign a max point value, so I'm just going to do 5. It's going to start today, and tomorrow, save. Okay, so there is one assignment for my station for my math class. I'm going to go back to my resources. The second station was over performance tasks. So I'm going to go to performance task. I'm going to choose real number system. And here I have a classifying activity for radical expressions. And I want to preview it to see what it looks like. So this is going to be a click and drag for never true, sometimes true, and always true. So this is going to help me see if they are truly understanding that mathematical reasoning for radical expressions. And I like the way that looks, so I'm going to go ahead and assign it. And that's for station B. And guys, I'm just quickly going through this. I'm not going to show you all the different settings you could choose, but I'm just showing you how easy it is to set up these stations. And you would, of course, make it more thoughtful when you're working on it. All right, my station C that I talked to you guys about today was my mini lesson with the teacher. So I'm going to go in here and I have simplifying radical expressions. Oh yeah, look, this is going to give me 7 problems for them to work through. So I like that because I can do a quick mini lesson and then they can do 7 problems with me. We're going to assign that one. All right. The fourth station that we talked about was on videos. So I'm going to go right here to videos. And here's my real number system. Here's a, let's just go with evaluate expressions. Okay. And there's my class, and I'm going to assign it. I'm not going to assign 3 videos right now because I'm just showing you the basics. So essentially I would go through and choose other videos, but this would be my station D for my students to watch the videos. And then the last station that we talked about was on a practice quiz with just questions. Now, our practice quizzes and tests are the only thing that they're the only things that aren't located on our resources tab. So what I would do instead, because as you can see, there aren't questions or quizzes. What I can do is just go to, I'm going to go to my home page and go to assignments. I'm going to create an assignment. I'm going to select my math class, and this is going to be station E, and I want it to be practice. So I'm going to click practice, choose a test, algebra 1, choose a type, I want questions. Answer type, I'm going to do multiple choice. And then difficulty, I'm going to go ahead and choose random. And in a second, I'm going to show you a way that you can differentiate this lesson. And I'm going to choose real number system and radical expressions. Start date, end date, save assignment. There's my station E created. Now, let's say that you have 2 different classes, and let's say you have one class that is an inclusion class and then your next class is a gifted advanced. You can take the practice questions and that I said was random, and you can change the level of difficulty to easy, to beginner or advanced, and I'm going to show you how you can do that. So I'm just going to go to the assignments right here, and there was my station E, okay? My settings for this shows that, oh, it didn't show it on there, but we know that I chose random. So what I can do for my gifted class is I can choose duplicate, and it's going to say you're duplicating, and so your changes will be saved to a new assignment and the existing assignment will not be changed. So I can go in here and select that I want to duplicate this for my first period, continue, and I would like to change it to advanced. And so this is going to change the level of difficulty for those questions to advanced for that next class period of students, which I'm just assigning it to the same class period because I only have one math class in here. I know that that was quick and dirty, but that was a brief overview of how you can use stations in the classroom. I'm going to be here for you to ask questions. I hope that you got to see an interesting way that our site can be utilized for instruction. I'm going to be here for about 10 minutes, so for those of you who have questions, please feel free to type them in. If you don't have any questions, you are more than welcome to exit whenever you're ready. My contact information is Felicia, Felicia, at USATestprep.com, or I can be reached at 877-377-9537, extension 116. When the presentation is complete, I will send out an email with a link to this video recording and also to the slideshow that I presented to you guys. Oh, thank you, Annie. I appreciate you attending. I'm still here, so for those of you who have questions, please feel free to type those in your question box and send them to me. If you're having a hard time with that, you can raise your hand and I can chat with you.